Hey, rock stars, Kelly here, and today I want to chat about one of our amazing sponsors, At Work Office Furniture. If you're an entrepreneur looking to upgrade your workspace, At Work Office Furniture is your go-to partner. For over 40 years, they've been providing premium, affordable office furniture and top-notch design services. Whether you need a single desk or a complete office overhaul, At Work has you covered. Their team of experts help you plan your space to maximize both comfort and efficiency. They're at the forefront of modern office trends, including those super cool office pods that give you an instant, quiet booth enclosure right in your open space, and movement-based setups to keep your team healthy and active. Here's the best part. At Work delivers and professionally installs across North America. No matter where you are, they'll make sure that your new office furniture arrives quickly and safely. I personally use an office chair and adjustable desk from At Work on a daily basis for my work and absolutely love them. Support the business that supports entrepreneurs like you. Check out www.atwork.ca to see their amazing range of products and services. Transform your workspace with At Work Office Furniture because great business starts with a great office. Thank you, At Work, for your support of the Business Development Podcast. Thanks for listening to a word from our sponsor. Let's get back to the show. Welcome to milestone episode 150 of the Business Development Podcast. And on today's expert guest interview, I bring you Lasse Joergensen, transformative life and business coach. And we're going to chat all about how to align our business with our purpose and passion. Stick with us. You are not going to want to miss this episode.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to milestone episode 150 of the Business Development Podcast. My gosh, 150 episodes. I can't even believe this. What an honor. It's such an honor to be up here with you guys, being able to come week over week, month over month, and now year over year, chatting about business development with you and hosting such amazing rock star guests. And today is no exception. We are bringing back for you Lasse Joergensen. Lasse epitomizes the modern day Renaissance individual, blending a rich tapestry of experiences and expertise into a dynamic career as an entrepreneur and coach. Hailing from Copenhagen, Denmark, Lasse's journey led him to the vibrant landscape of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in 2017. Armed with a bachelor's degree in social work, a marketing degree, and a background in psychotherapy, he embarked on a mission to empower others to discover their true purpose and achieve success in the digital realm. In 2019, he founded All In Productions, a testament to his passion for video production, while concurrently delving into the transformative realms of coaching, where he guides entrepreneurs through the labyrinth of online business, igniting their potential and propelling them towards fulfillment. With a diverse portfolio spanning music production, fashion, mindfulness instruction, and beyond, Lasse brings a multifaceted perspective to his coaching practice. His approach is both holistic and hands-on, drawing on his varied experiences to provide comprehensive support to his clients. Whether it's navigating the intricacies of marketing, delving into the depths of personal growth, or fostering a sense of community among entrepreneurs, Lasse's dedication shines through, illuminating the path to success with clarity and purpose. In the realm of entrepreneurship, Lasse Joergensen is not just a coach. He's a catalyst for transformation. Through his authentic entrepreneurs and community group and beyond, he invites aspiring business owners to join him in embracing their true selves and building a meaningful online venture. With Lasse in their corner, entrepreneurs can boldly declare, we're all in, ready to seize their dreams and make an indelible mark on the digital landscape. Lasse, it's an honor to have you back, my friend.
Thank you so much, Kelly. What an introduction.
A well-deserved introduction.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, you know how to do really great intros. that could be a new job for you.
Intro writer.
That's your
I
new
don't know,
niche.
dude. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep that one to myself, but I do love a good intro.
Oh, it's powerful. It's powerful. It also gives me, almost like a different perspective of my whole life now.
It's cool how many of my entrepreneurs say that, because it's like, wow, it's so weird hearing that about myself, but nothing I'm saying is wrong. It's all things that you've done and you're doing. I think it's just as entrepreneurs, we can minimize the work we're doing.
Yeah. True. But it's nice to get everything summarized in a way, your whole life summarized. But it's still only 1% or 0.005%.
Yeah, and I would say whole life to today, I think you got a lot of entrepreneuring to do.
Yeah.
Man, it's so cool having you back. And I just want to say, first off, I'm so grateful for you, Lasse. You've been with me from the very beginning. Our very first episode together was actually episode 20, Find Your Passion with Lasse Joergensen. And I have to apologize because, dude, I was saying your name wrong the whole time and you didn't correct me. And so now I'm doing it correctly. It is Lasse Joergensen, not Lasse Joergensen. I Canadianized the crap out of your name and I apologize.
Oh, I really don't mind. For me, it's just I just see the sweetness in when people pronounce my name. So I don't get offended or anything. I'm just so used to people calling me Laser, Lassa, Lesser, Lasse, Lassie, and it's all good.
It is and it isn't, and a name is the most important thing to an individual, and so I deeply apologize, and I promise I will not mess it up again. I will do my best.
Oh, you're such a sweet Canadian, because I think it's also my background from Denmark. We're not that it doesn't need to be that correct. We're not that polite as Canadians. Canadians are very, oh, I'm so sorry. How can I don't want to say your name right now. Can you please say it to me so I can do my best to not become a failure, or so I take it really relaxed, and I think that's just the Danish culture where we just kind of like just down to earth. It's just no big deal.
We need to live more down to earth and no big deal, even in Canada, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, when we had our first interview together, I think I might have met you once. And since that time, we've met at a couple different Coffee with the Chambers, with the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. I know you've been videoing, a few of those. And I've actually had the honor of coaching with you. You offered me a free coaching session and I loved it, dude. I loved it. And we are going to get into that today because I think what you're doing is so meaningful and so important. But first off, episode 20 was a really long time ago. And there's a lot of people listening who may go back now and check out episode 20, and they probably will and probably should. But can we just give them a recap? Can you take us back to the beginning? Who is Lasse Joergensen? How did you end up on this path? And what brought you to Canada?
Oh, yeah. So I think my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 18. I was just finishing high school, and that's when I started my first online business, actually. So I started my own t-shirt brand, and it was custom-made, handmade t-shirts that I sold to people all over the world. And that was the first time when I really realized the freedom and the amazing thing about, being able to do what you love and have a lot of fun with it, and you can also make a lot of money on it. That was kind of like my first my first step in being an entrepreneur. And then I did a marketing degree. I got a job. I moved to Copenhagen in Denmark because I got a job because of my own t-shirt brand. So I moved to Copenhagen. I worked in the fashion industry. Great experience, but also I found it very shallow. And I realized that I was more interested in speaking with my coworkers about their problems than actually doing the sales and what needed to be done in a way. I was not that interested in the actual position. I had I was international sales coordinator of this fashion company. But I realized over and over again that I'm actually more interested in asking about, what's actually going on in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of led me to actually starting working with kids for a few years. I'm a musician, so it was easy for me to get a job where I was actually playing music with kids. And I started my psychotherapy degree as well, because I was just really curious and interested in knowing more about myself and other people. But also for me, just really healing inside and getting to know more about myself, for sure. And then later on, I did a bachelor in social work, and I had a few other online businesses as well. And then I had clients for doing my psychotherapy. I also did the mindfulness retreats in forest outside of Copenhagen. So I would bring a group of people, 10, 12 people, to be in silence for half a day. So we would walk between 5 to 10 kilometers, and I'll just guide them the whole way through, and they would just be silence. That's something that I really enjoyed. I did that for years as well. And then I also worked with people with disabilities, actually, with a music therapist. So I was facilitating music groups for people with disabilities. And then I moved to Canada initially because of a relationship. And then I was just kind of like, oh, what do I want to do now? And I just gave it some time. I think I was just kind of just asking within just for a few months, like what would my next step be? And then it came to me, I'm going to start my own video production company. So that's kind of like the short version. I've also been into music production, been producing my own music for many years as well. And into photography, I've always been very creative. So it just made so much sense to actually start a video production company where I could be creative, help people, tell the story, make amazing videos for companies, businesses, organizations. And in that way, just really live out my own passion.
Yeah. And so much of our last conversation was very much on video production. And I want to spend some time there today as well, because I think it's important. And I think it's becoming even more important as we move in, to the 2024 and beyond. But, dude, I listened to like your background, and you must be like, that like story that's like the most interesting man in the world, like that like liquor commercial. It's like the most Das Equis. It's like the most interesting man in the world. I like listen to your bio. I'm like, dude, that's Lasse. He's the most interesting man in the world. You do so much.
Yeah, it's I'm in some ways it's lovely to hear, because for me it's just like that's just normal. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like for me, like. I can grab a guitar and play any song, and for me, I'm not impressed by that. This is normal. Or I can make a epic video. Like I don't know. It's probably I can say the same about you. Like there's so many amazing things about you as your personality and your skills in business that you just take for granted, but other people, they really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we all have our intricate skills. I look at like your career choices and they've been so varied. It was like most people just don't do all the things that you do. Go from fashion industry to psychotherapy to video production and now, and then into mindfulness stuff, right? Like to me, those are all so varied. Most people would just be like, yeah, one of those things or two of those things. But the fact that you've done them all, the fact that you're a musician, you're so well-rounded as a person. Like you have, and it comes through in your coaching. And like the reason I'm really touching on this is it's because you've had so much life experience. You've been, around that you can just bring a perspective that most people cannot bring. And I really appreciate that about you.
Yeah, I think, we all have different journeys in life. And for me, the journey was to just really be good at many different things, but the end result is just really distilling who I am.
Yeah,
that's basically everything that I've learned, either if it's online business or coaching or anything. It's just really all about learning more about myself and life.
I think on some level that is what it's all about for all of us, but we don't recognize it in that way. You know what I mean? We're goal driven, right? Most entrepreneurs, it's like we're just going. We don't even know half the time what we're going for. We just know we're going at it, right? And that if we're not working towards it, what are we working towards? We better get to it. And I think so much of entrepreneurship, like I've met so many entrepreneurs at this point in my life. It's amazing. I love them all. I love entrepreneurs. But my gosh, we'll work ourselves to the grave.
Yeah.
And not even know why.
Yeah, but I think that's the important step right there. It is, I love looking myself into the eyes in the mirror and not just looking at, just not looking at my, my face, but actually really truly looking myself into the eyes and just become aware of what's actually going on. What am I looking for in life? Am I getting up in the morning and truly living my full, honest potential in this world? Those are the questions that I love asking, because it's so easy to live someone else's life or dream, or parents, society, friends, anything we have seen in the television, also on social media. We think that, oh, this is the way to live our lives. So in that way, we are so programmed to and think that, oh, this is the way to live our lives, until we either get burned out. Maybe a disease will keep us in bed. Anything that will kind of be the messenger for us to change our lives.
I think it's so easy. And, like me and you talked about this when I had my session with you, where it can be so easy to just be doing, right?
Yes.
And, we were talking about that, and it's like, man, like we've accomplished so much with the business development podcast, with Capital Business Development, with the work that we're doing. And it's like, we've won awards. I've won personal awards. We've done all sorts of stuff, and it's so short-lived. And don't get me wrong, I love those things. It's amazing. It's amazing to be recognized for your work. It just is. But it's so short-lived, and it's very hard for me to spend time in that moment and just be like, yeah, this is awesome, and I'm going to stay here for a minute. I really struggle to stay there. It's like that day is awesome, but tomorrow's a new day, and I got more work to do. That's always been my outlook, since I've become an entrepreneur anyway. Mm. And I find it very hard to live in the moment. And I know that's something that I'm personally working on. I really am. I recognize, like, the thing is, now I see it. I didn't see it before, but now I can really see it. Now that I see it, I can't ignore it. But I'm trying to find more joy in the day-to-day, in the journey, instead of that endless strive. And I know I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs who feel the exact same way, who have accomplished, similar things or more things even. But you're always looking for that next big thing. It's really hard to just sit back and be like, yeah, I've done amazing things today and I should be happy about that today. I think we really struggle with that, Lasse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the condition of the world, basically. It's in all of us. It's, I call it the Matrix. If you watch the movie The Matrix, it's a good example that everything is just kind of like one big construct. And if you're not aware, if we don't become relaxed in the middle of that, we're gonna be shaking around like in a washing machine 24/7, and just someone is doing something to you and you have no control. But what we can actually do is completely stop up, take 1 week off, 1 month off, or just 10 minutes where we simply just relax ourselves and become more aware of how am I actually feeling? What kind of thoughts do I daily have? And what is always constantly wanting me to do something so I don't need to feel what I'm actually feeling in my life. Mm-hmm. So in that way, it's usually escapism, and we allow ourselves to be distracted, and it feels good. We get dopamine. Like social media is amazing, watching Netflix is amazing, eating Ben and Jerry's. I love Ben and Jerry's, by the way. But if we don't really kind of slow down a little bit and ask the questions, why am I here? What is my purpose? What fulfills meaning inside of me? First of all, if we don't know how to answer those questions, it's just easy to live a life of someone else or society, or being an entrepreneur, just working for money or success. But I can tell you, when we reach that success, let's say we become millionaire or successful in all these different aspects, how you feel inside will still be the same. Mm-hmm. So you still, if you're lonely, you'll still be lonely as a millionaire. If you don't have any relationships in your life, success or any kind of achievement doesn't give you really essentially anything. And that's the hardcore truth of anything we actually do.
Yeah, I recently had an interview with an amazing, amazing guest, Randy Lennon. He's accomplished a lot in the media world, been around, 6 decades in media, if you can believe it. It's unreal. Wow. But so much of my conversation with him, and obviously, somebody 6 decades in media, very successful, I think it was around like 12 or 13 different companies he'd either been a part of or founded, like incredible success with this man. Super humble, super kind. But I'll tell you what, Lasse, most of the conversation with him was chatting about what is important to you. Because he put a lot on the line to accomplish those things. I think he mentioned he'd had multiple divorces. One of his relationships with his sons was very strained. And he's like, man, like, I'm not sure that it was worth it. And that I do feel like that's what he was trying to convey to me, was that like the chase, the endless, all the success in the world won't bring those relationships back or where they need to be. And it really does. Man, I really struggle with it, because it's like, I want both. I want to be successful, and I also want to have great relationships in my life. And, unfortunately, a lot of the interviews that I've had, there's a compromise, or there'll be incredibly successful people, and now they talk about work-life balance. Like, I'll talk to people who've been an entrepreneur, for the 15 years. And sure, like, they talk about work-life balance, and it's so important, and we have to do it, or you're not going to be happy. But then I'll ask them, well, how long did you struggle for, right? How long did you not have work-life balance to get to where you're at today? And almost all of them have said, well, yeah, of course, I had to put in that time. So to me, there's no shortcut. It's like, it feels to me, and I could be completely wrong, this could be total BS, but to me, it feels like the only way to work-life balance is through hard work and unbalanced life.
Yeah, but then you just keep on doing that.
I know. I get it. I totally agree. Exactly. So what is the alternative though? Like if you want to be successful and you want work-life balance, can you have both? Is it even possible?
Totally. I think it still comes down to, the roots of your tree. Like to have deep roots, what is actually nurturing your roots, and let that be the main priority in your life, instead of spending too much time on building this amazing business. Because what is really fulfilling is having roots in life. So it really comes down to, why am I doing this? Why do I want to become successful? What does success mean to me? And I think a lot of people realize that having a lot of money doesn't really give us anything, except from being able to buy stuff and have more freedom, so to speak, and feel safe in life.
Yeah.
But so I think it really comes down to our core beliefs. What am I looking for? What I'm longing for? And why am I doing what I'm doing? Because you see a lot of successful business owners.
Yeah.
They are very successful, but when you watch the documentaries about their lives, it's a sad story. There's something about in the childhood that didn't work out with their dad. They, conflicts and all these things, and all this anger and fear and hurt turned into a drive that just kept on, that let them just keep on going in their business. And then they achieved some of the things that kind of felt great, but still the trauma and the hurt is still inside.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Like
it does make sense. It does, because we're all driven through the subconscious, right? And that was one of the things that I've become aware of, is that so much of the choices we make, we don't even recognize we're making them. Like, when me and you were talking about making conscious decision, I think we always, as far as I was concerned, I always thought I was making conscious decision. But the reality is that probably only 5% of my choices are conscious.
That's the thing. Like if people are afraid of AI, they, it's a projection, because the only thing that we should be worried about is actually what is in our subconscious, feeding us feedback constantly and controlling our lives. So yeah, I think studies show that it's like, I don't know, 80-90% of everything we do is controlled by subconscious stuff, something that we're not aware of. Yeah. So that's things that in our childhoods that we just kind of like stuffed away. We didn't, we couldn't grasp it, or we couldn't handle it. That's just how the human psyche is all put together. So in that way, you can actually see the development of of human psychology, or just as a human being, is all about development, because we are developing as we are discovering more of our, you can say, oral or subconscious stuff, all our shadows, all the things that we actually don't want or eager to be a part of, but it's controlling us inside. And on top of that, we have been raised with a personality that kind of fits in to make sure that we're not going to be this person and this person, these sides of us that we don't like. But when we become more aware of them and more open to see, wow, I actually do have a narcissist in me. Oh, I can also be greedy. Oh, I'm not only this nice person all the time, as an example, then, we become more whole and more integrated.
You talk about going into the bathroom and looking into the mirror. My gosh, dude, I think about that. And it's like, I can't even tell you the last time that I did that. Like really looked at myself in the mirror. Why do you think we don't do that?
Because we are afraid of what we're actually going to discover inside of us. we all really, I think it's all too adapted into society and what we think how we need to be. We need to be polite. We need to be happy all the time. We need to be successful. If we feel depressed or anxious, that I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. But that's just a belief. It's I believe that it's normal to have, it's normal to have anxiety. I know that in my own life. It's depression. It's a part of life. Everything is a part of life. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong in being anxious. Mm-hmm. It's just some mechanisms giving you feedback regarding how you're responding to a situation and how your emotional body is responding to it.
What is an anxious response trying to tell us?
It can be many different things. It can be many different things. It's basically the ego is saying that we should not go there. This is out of our comfort zone. So mm-hmm. Public speaking is a really good one. It's the biggest fear in all of our society, I believe, and still is. So let's say if we're gonna do some public speaking right now, or we're about to get onto a stage, you may feel this uncomfortable anxiety. Your heart is beating fast, and your thoughts is just kind of like, I'm gonna die. They're gonna look at me, and I don't know. I don't know what to say. All these things. So if we follow all of our bodily sensations and anxiety, we would just say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not today. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. But if we still do it, we move past our anxiety. It's like, okay, it's kind of like saying, yes, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. You get up on stage, and when you get up to stage and you get more connected, you realize, it was actually not that big of a deal, or maybe it still is. But the thing about this reaction is that it's nothing to do with anxiety on its own, because there are some uncomfortable feelings underneath anxiety that you don't want to feel. So we can actually walk in therapy, basically, you would walk up and just allow yourself to be seen as is, and then allow yourself to be vulnerable, because underneath that anxiety, there are some hidden emotions and feelings that we haven't faced yet. And that's why the ego is just trying to help us to say, we don't want to go there. Let's just go home. But you get up there and you feel, the lack or the fear of rejection or the fear of being bullied or whatever it is that shows up. And when you can allow that to come up, you become a more whole human being, and you realize that all the anxiety and all the fears that I'm having in my life is just keeping me at bay in my own comfort zone.
Yeah. I think so much about my childhood when we have this conversation, Lasse, because, I grew up in, the late 90s, early 2000s. I was in my teens, and I remember it just be tough, right? Like I was born and raised in Alberta, Canada, right? Oil and gas country. My friends were tough. We skateboarded. We did all sorts of stuff. And you know what I mean? Like being vulnerable, being open was a weakness.
Yes.
And so I used to pride myself, even with my brothers, being like, toughen up, Kelly, you got this. Just toughen up, suck it up, get it done. And that was the attitude I lived by. And frankly, it did serve me. It served me a lot in my career, in school, in society on a certain level. But now it's like I've spent my whole life being tough, being strong, being confident, taking those steps, even when it scares the bejesus out of me, but keeping that to myself, right?
Yeah.
And now we live in this time where it's like, oh, well, now it's time to be open. It's time to be vulnerable. And yet I know I'm talking to a ton of people who are just like me, who are like, Lasse, I know what you're saying. be vulnerable, be open, be tough. I don't know how. And I'm not afraid to say that I really struggle with connecting with myself on that level. Because I think when you go a whole lifetime repressing those feelings, it's not easy to then connect with, the inside.
I totally understand it. But it's kind of like, if you have a strong entrepreneurial mindset, think about yourself as a business. So you also need to train, and you need to do the work for the business. So instead of doing the work outside of you, do it inside. And the more that you're willing to be vulnerable and honest, it really comes down to honesty, because I think we all know deep inside when we're not being honest, when we're just trying to skip to make something easy. And often, I think, as an entrepreneur, it's easy to just keep on working, because then you are distracted. You don't need to feel, you don't need to question life, and you're getting somewhere. We're getting the sense of, oh, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, I got another order. I got $10,000 coming in tomorrow. It's amazing. But it's not it. It's not truly it. So the more that we can allow ourselves to be honest, it just simply comes down to honest on all these different levels inside of us. And then we know when we actually when we choose to either be vulnerable and be open. You can say, like in a relationship, like you go to your wife and you're just being honest about something that you're feeling, or you do what you maybe normally would do, just like, I'm just gonna go and work. Do you know what I mean? So we have the option every day.
Yeah. And I would say I've come a long way. I've come a long way with being able to be vulnerable and be open. But dude, do I ever still have a long way to go? And I recognize it. And I recognize how much of that is 16-year-old Kelly, 15-year-old Kelly, 13-year-old Kelly, right? Like, these are things that, like, I prided myself on being strong, on being tough.
I know.
On being able to not feel.
I know.
And yet, nobody told me anything different. Nobody told me it would affect me later in my life. So with our kids, we're definitely trying to be like, yeah, tell us how you're feeling. Talk about how you're feeling. Tell us about your emotions. Like, we're so much more loving now than, and don't get me wrong, I had very loving parents, but different generation, right? Not the same level of loving as 2023, 2024 parents. It's just not. And so we're trying to correct those mistakes so that hopefully our kids don't go through that same thing, and they're able to be more connected with themselves and who they are and their emotions, and not end up these, like, challenged adults on a certain levels, right? And I'm not saying that I'm like super challenged, but I recognize that emotionally I do struggle with those connections now.
Yeah, I think we all do. Again, we have the power is within us. Like, it's not about someone else taking the steps and being vulnerable, you being vulnerable. But the goal is not to be vulnerable and we're all sitting and holding hands and crying together. That's not the end goal here. It's just the willingness to be open and to learn honestly more about yourself.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, obviously, the way that we're living life as entrepreneurs, right? Driving towards what we're doing. I guess what I'm trying to understand is the worry to me is that I'm not aware of things that could be harming me. That's the worry to me, I think, is that, like, I've lived this world for a while now. You have too, and so have many of our listeners. They've accomplished many things. They've done great things. People around them, I'm sure, look at them and say, wow, that person's done a lot. It's amazing what they've done, actually. Like, very impressive. Like, they should be very commended for that work. Not necessarily recognizing that we're all just driving forward, like, with reckless abandon on certain levels, right? Yeah. Right? Not really knowing where we're going, just knowing that what we're doing, we feel good about. We feel like we're on the right path. We feel like we're making meaningful change in the world and helping people and helping businesses and doing all sorts of things. But like I said, I think my worry is that I'm going to do all these amazing things, but I'm going to look back one day and I'll, hopefully not from a sick hospital bed, and hopefully not from a divorce, and hopefully not with no connection to my kids. But I really do worry about that because I do want both. I want to be happy and I want to succeed professionally. And sometimes, and I know I'm not alone in this, I know there's lots of people listening who are like, Kelly, I get it. I totally hear you. I'm right there. I understand the challenge because we're trying to juggle so much. And you and me both know entrepreneurship is hard. Media is hard. Doing a podcast is hard. And you know what's even harder? Being a good partner, a good dad, a good wife is probably the hardest job of all. Yep. And yet somehow we're trying to balance all these things, and we're all human, and we're all experiencing the same human feelings, the same human experience. But some of us are having to be pulled in 18 different directions in order to accomplish what is our normal now? What is our day-to-day normal, And I see what you're doing, and I think it's amazing, and I think it's very well needed. I just think, man, really hard to find that balance and to be able to come into ourselves and really ask, like, obviously we want more free time. We want it all. We want to be able to have the success, but the success comes with hard work. We want to be financially free. Like, when me and you had that conversation in our session, you asked me, Kelly, what's important to you? And I said, freedom. Let's say, I want the freedom. I want to be able to make a choice, to be able to say, yeah, this week I want to go spend my weekend in Arizona with my family. And next week I want to work my butt off because that's what I like to do. But I want to be able to make that choice. And to me, you have to have money. That's what money really is. Money is freedom. To me, to Kelly Kennedy anyway. That's what I associate it with. I grew up very, middle class family. My parents worked very hard. Neither one. My dad had a maintenance company, and my mom worked in healthcare. And so, to me, we were always fighting for that dollar. We were always struggling to make ends meet. I had nice things, but I know my family worked very hard and gave up a lot so that I could have nice things. And I appreciate them immensely. I love them a lot. But I recognized there was a lot of sacrifice for Kelly to have nice things, to have nice clothes, to be able to, go skateboarding or whatever it is that I wanted to do that didn't come easy. And so to me, I never wanted that. I wanted to be able to achieve enough that I could give to my kids, I could give to me, and be free at the same time. And so to me, that's what it's always been. The strive is always about getting free. And yet there's something that's so not free about the strive.
Yeah, but that's no, but that's the thing about the ego. Like, you cannot. I want to get free of the ego, but you are the ego. You cannot get free of it, but you can transform the ego to be something more authentic.
Yeah. It's so funny because you're right. It's like it does all tie back, and we don't always recognize how it's tying back or what things it's tying to. But I know for me, it's like I want the ability to be free, to have adventure. Like, we got away to Kananaskis over the weekend. Honestly, it was our first family trip in probably 6 months. It was so needed. I didn't even realize at the time until we were there, until I was able to disconnect from everything and just take a step back, how badly I needed it. But I felt like $1 million when we got back on Monday night. I was just like, holy crap. Like, I have to prioritize more of this just getting away time. I really do. And you don't even realize how badly you need it until you take that time.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but it's so good. And I like looking at life as like bubbles. Like, we live in different bubbles. And that's why it's good to step out of the bubble once in a while. And for some people, it can be like a few weeks. For other people, it can be just 2 minutes. But the more that we step out of our bubble, so to speak, and especially for entrepreneurs, the work bubble, even though it will give us anxiety because, I'm not working on my business, now I'm not succeeding, now I'm not earning enough money, just keep spending time off and facing those feelings and emotions, because they're actually saying that we are too attached to the work. You see? Yeah. So then it's an addiction all of a sudden. Whoa. And I thought I was so successful and doing all these amazing things. And then I realized I get anxiety if I'm not working. So then it's good. Like, I would encourage anyone to stay there with the anxiety, stay there for a few days and embrace everything you're feeling, because that's when we can actually dig into our own roots and embrace things that has always been in us, but we just haven't faced them in life.
Yeah. I love how you're talking about the anxiety about not working. I definitely struggle with that. Like, I feel like whenever things like throw me a hiccup, immediate like anxiety response. How do I fix this? How do I solve this challenge? Or how do we produce more? Or how do we get another client? Or whatever it be. I totally get that feeling. And I think what it is that at a certain level, you're trying to just maintain where you're at. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when you set the bar high, you have to try to maintain that high, because the moment you drop below that high bar, suddenly you're not meeting your own expectation.
Yeah. And that's why everything comes down to your mindset. Everything comes down to what you believe in, because there's no meaning in anything in this world except from what you project into it. And, it's a big one. If you really take that in, that from within our ego, look at the world, it is meaningful because look at this and that, the flower, and look at this and look at this amazing car. But it's something that we are projecting. We are projecting value to it. It's our belief system that is defining the meaning in anything. And when we know that, when we get to know that, we're just like, whoa, I think I'll like to see what I'm actually looking for in my life. What is my purpose? And when we find that, when we kind of land in that, we are landing in something more nourishing, something that brings meaning within us without us doing anything, because we are connected to something deeper. And then it's just way easier to make a business, to being an entrepreneur, because it's not about success, money, but it's just about fulfilling your purpose and why you're here.
I find that super interesting, because I think so much meaning that we give things, we never chose that meaning. That meaning was thrust upon us.
Yeah, it's true. It's just patterns and belief, our parents, society, culture. And when we see that, that's where it can be quite yucky in a way, because it's just like, wow, the whole life I've been living for this and it has no more meaning. But it's a gift, because something inside has become aware, and you're maturing in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, they'll hear that and they'll say, well, how do I change that meaning? Right? Like if I've been ingrained with this meaning from society that I want to own a Ferrari one day because Ferraris are the best cars in the world. And that's just an example. I actually like Corvettes, but anyways. Let's just use the Ferrari example, because I know I talked to a client once, and that's what they said. They said that was the thing that when they got their Ferrari, that was going to be the moment that they could feel their success. Like, we all have the Ferrari, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a Ferrari, but in our minds, we all have that thing that's going to be the moment. Do you think that that's even possible? Do you think when they actually achieve the Ferrari that's the moment? Or what happens to them at that point?
I don't think it's possible. And I know for myself, like, I've have hundreds of thousands of dollars on my account, and it's not it. So you're mentioning something very important, is that the feeling of having a Ferrari, it's not actually the Ferrari, because it's a meaning we are projecting onto the Ferrari. So we are postponing a feeling until we get that Ferrari, that feeling of achievement or love or worth. Now I feel like I'm worth something because I'm driving in something that everyone loves, and will just wave at you. You get some kind of belonging, some kind of achievement. But if you turn that around, you realize that that's what you're lacking. That something inside of you is lacking achievement or feeling worthy. And when you stop up and take care of that first, instead of doing 10 years of business to get that superficial achievement, so to speak, that's when you make the change. And then that's when you make a different business. Then it's not going to be just hustle and earning money. It's going to be something more purposeful and something that actually serves and helps people in a genuine way.
Yeah. Do you know what's so funny about the car analogy? And I look back to being a kid, and I grew up in Spruce Grove, Alberta, and there's lots of country roads around Spruce Grove, Alberta. And as a kid, I spent a lot of time just driving country roads in my various sports cars. I love sports cars, and I had so many. I had, I had a Camaro, I had an RX-7, I had a Supra, and I used to just love driving in those country roads and the feeling that I would have. And I think so much of my desire to get my sports car again is so much just like relating back to 17-year-old Kelly driving those country roads and the feelings that I had in those moments. It's crazy to think that, we're striving sometimes to achieve something that we once had as kids.
You're mentioning something really important here because, I think we all subconsciously, we are kind of looking to, to become that early version of ourselves where we were just so open, so innocent, we were just loving everything and so excited by life. But that's something that you can recognize and realize that. So instead of spending 10 years and getting a bunch of Ferraris, you can actually go there within, that achievement or that love or that whatever that is inside of us. Or, Mount Everest, climbing Mount Everest. I believe that people are just looking for that feeling of being on top of Mount Everest. And then they release all of this dopamine and happiness that I did it. I could prove to myself or maybe my family that I'm worthy. I could do these things. But we can actually conquer and climb Mount Everest inside, so we actually don't need to risk our life doing it.
Yeah. And when I think back to that car moment again, driving those country roads and just the feelings that I got, when I think back to it, that's probably the freest I ever was. And it relates back to my desire for freedom and for peace. And yet I didn't know it at the time, how free and peaceful I was. It's only now when I can look back, 16, 17, 18 years at who I was then that I can relate back and say, holy crap. Yeah. Like you were so free in that time and you didn't even know it.
Yeah. But that's amazing that you're aware of it. You're aware of there's something about freedom. I think next step is just all about really distilling what freedom actually is. Because, in the world, freedom is, we have, a lot of money, we can go travel, blah, blah, blah. But how does freedom feel inside? And what is blocking you to feel that freedom? And freedom can just be that you're just open, you're content, there's joy, there's meaning without me doing anything.
Yeah.
That's the source. That's the source. Like when you're not doing anything, that's it.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I know one of the things that we talked about in our session was visualizing and visualization of what happiness looks like for you. Mm-hmm. Can we spend a little bit of time maybe on what the importance of visualization is?
Yeah. I think, our technology has really become a new religion. Like a lot of people are more interested in OpenChat GPT or the new phone coming out or anything like that. We can easily get caught up on that, but the inner technology is endless. So when we, let's say, as an example, when we find our purpose, the way to live our purpose is to building a vision for it. And we have a lower mind and we have a higher mind. The lower mind is typically our past experiences, everything that our brain and nervous system has experienced through our whole life. That's what the lower mind is constantly giving us feedback from. So that's why when we want to do new things, it usually says, no, I should not do this. Let's stay here. This is safe. Let's just say, what would anyone, what would my parents say if I did this? Or what would my friends say if I did this? So that's the lower mind. But the higher mind, which I like to call the future self, like that's the future version of you. When we align ourselves with a purpose or something that we love doing, something that is more exciting, it's a high vibration. And that high vibration leads us into our future self. So even though we don't know the result, let's say as a business, we know that, okay, I'm going to start this business. It would be nice to live like this and do all these things. But I know that this is the way for me and this is my path to walk. So the more that we can be open-minded and build a vision that aligns with our purpose in life or truth, whatever that looks like, the more that we can actually take action into the vision and align ourselves with that future self right now in the moment. So we we can almost get a taste of how it feels, how, exciting and how the energy is way higher. So that's basically the power of visualization, that you can basically imagine yourself doing anything. But I'd say the most important thing, instead of just visualizing yourself becoming rich, visualizing yourself become whole, like free inside, feeling free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just an example.
No, it's a good example. And, I can say like from our visualization exercise that you walked me through, which was amazing, I felt it. Like I felt it. I left your place feeling amazing. And just thinking like, holy crap, like this was available to me the whole time. I just didn't know it. And so, yeah, I've been trying to incorporate more visualization. I have to admit, I'm still not doing great at it, but I'm doing better, a whole lot better than I was.
Yeah.
And I do try at least every once in a while to just try to sit back and take 5 minutes and close my eyes and try to picture what it feels like to be Kelly when he's accomplished the things he wants to accomplish. And what is the feeling? Because you're right. I think it's the feeling that is what's going to ultimately drive that change for you.
Yes, it's so true. So one thing is, you can imagine this amazing life. Then how does it feel? How do you get up in the morning? When you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you respond to that? How do you feel? How does it feel in the body? So, because the brain, responds to anything. So the brain doesn't know if you're just if you're actually doing it in life or you're just visualizing it. So why don't you visualize something that has a really high impact on your whole body, your mind, that will basically take you to a better version of yourself.
Yeah. And part of that conversation really led into, and you were saying, Kelly, like, if you want to become a better person, what you have to do is figure out what would that better person do and start doing those today. Why wait? That was the thing that you posed, the question you posed to me. Why do you have to wait 5 years to do that thing or to start, looking after yourself better or to spend more time with your wife? Or, you know what I mean? Like you were talking about, if you want to be a better person, the only way you're going to get there is to make a choice to be that better person today. Can we spend some time on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about, one thing is finding a purpose, visualizing it, making a vision that, wow, this is going to be my new business. I'm excited. I'm loving it. I'm using my skills, helping other people with whatever that is. But then it's all about, taking action. Like if you want to become more open in your life, more honest in your life, then call an old friend and tell them how much they mean to you. You can do one a day. That's 30 people in 1 month. I'm going to guarantee you that will change your life. You will become more open. So it's basically that simple.
Yeah.
Just,
No, I agree. It sounds so easy.
And then you're being, and then and you're also being more vulnerable, and that's the way to take action into your new self. So one thing is wanting to become a new, different person, but it's almost like a salmon moving upstream. We're so used to going downstream. We want everything to be so convenient. We want to sit in our car. We're going to go to NW, get a Diet Coke and bank. Like everything is just so convenient, but living the real life is really doing it upstream as a salmon.
Yeah, like if we want to make meaningful change, it's not going to come. It's not going to just happen. It's not going to just happen.
You're basically going against your own comfort zone. You're going against what your parents and ancestors didn't do. You get what I mean? So it doesn't feel good. It's like, why am I walking up to this stage and doing this presentation? This is like, but okay, my parents actually didn't do it. And they had fear of doing that. Okay. So you actually, you're stepping out of that comfort zone, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man, this has been amazing, dude. I wanted to spend some time chatting about this, and we're going to get into how people reach you for coaching. But I also want to spend maybe just 10 minutes with you as well, chatting about, your work with All In Productions, video production in 2024. I want to chat a little bit about a lot has changed in the last year. Even since the last time that me and you sat down and had this conversation, AI is blown up. There's been all sorts of things that have kind of shook things up. Talk about the importance of video for companies as we move into 2024, 2025.
Yeah, AI is a big thing. It's a game changer. I think actually right now you can you can get some pretty decent videos made just by AI. But I must say I'm totally relaxed regarding AI, because it still comes down to you being the niche.
Yeah.
Like when we dial ourselves in, so to speak, when we find our purpose and we align ourselves with our true job, so to speak, by being authentic and being honest, AI cannot do anything with something being human, connective, the real deal. So for companies, you can definitely get your AI videos made like that if that's what you want to do. There's definitely a very strong tendency to make it as personal, honest, direct as possible, because that is what people are looking for. People are looking for connection. People are looking for education, some real value, not just the distraction stuff, but real value. So when companies realize that they can bring out their culture, they can, instead of just having stock pictures on their website, they're going to have real pictures. They're going to have real videos showing why they started the company. What is the culture about? Like behind the scenes, people want to see the real deal. So that's the future of video. It's just honesty and just being real.
Yeah, it's so funny. I look back to an earlier episode that I made a very long time ago, and I think it was kind of at the advent when kind of AI and ChatGPT was really making its inroads. And I was saying, in a time of AI and robots, be human. And that's what's going to be important, because AI and robots and all this stuff will start to become so prevalent that just being an authentic human will be the way to stand out.
Exactly. And you're nailing it right there. So that's why I'm very relaxed. So as long as you are taking the steps in your business to be more open and more yourself, your true self, because that's what other people are looking for. They are really truly only looking, to become our true selves. That's basically what we're all looking for. That's why we're watching movies, and that's why we're in relationships. That's why we're doing all these things. We just are looking for, we're looking to find ourselves, to become whole. And when we realize that, then we can actually do that in business as well, because then we are building trust and we are actually truly helping people indirectly in a way, because we are also giving them a gift by being honest and genuine.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems that a lot of businesses are facing is they've woken up. Mark my words. Like, I think the last time we had this conversation, there would have still been a lot of people who would have been like, "Yeah, I don't know how important video is in my business." But I think at this point, their eyes are wide open. Like, okay, 2024 is my year. We need video. We need an outward face, a public face. But they're still lost, Lasse, on how to do it. They're still just lost, right? It's like we know we need something, but we don't know how to get it. And now there's so many different options. We don't know where to go. Can you speak to the businesses right now who maybe are in that place and they're thinking, okay, I know it. I need video. I need a more public face. I just don't know what to do. Can you talk to them?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Do what you're best at and then outsource everything else. And don't spend too much time. I think what really surprised me is that there's so many people being so afraid of being in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. And that's also basically why I'm making this whole program, is just to help people, first of all, dial in their purpose and then make a meaningful online business. But then also learning how to be themselves. So there's the inner work, so to speak, how to deal with the uncomfortableness of being in front of camera and being vulnerable, and all of a sudden you're going to be all over social media with your face on it. But also the technique aspect of it. Of how to actually make all those videos, how to make a social media strategy for a few months in just one day, and film it, edit it, and post it as well. So the most important thing is that either you do it yourself or you have someone else doing it.
Yeah. And I want to lead into, I've been keeping up on you, and you're doing so much right now. You're building a community. You're doing a type of business coaching that I think is super needed, but you don't typically come into it. When I asked you, I said, Lasse, define the type of coaching that this is. And you said, Kelly, it's transformative life and business, because you can't have one without the other. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. So can we spend a little bit of time on what the coaching is, and then lead us into the authentic entrepreneurs community?
Yeah, so I realized in my own life that you can go deep into business, or you can go deep into becoming self-aware and working with yourself, and both directions are great. What I've seen in my business life, going to all these network events and stuff like that I just see there's a big gap between what people show on one side, their business, and then their true authentic selves. And I know from my own experience as well that it can be really draining. It's almost like you're putting a mask on, doing your business, and when you get home, you're someone else. And I know from within my life that I can't live like that. It needs to be just me, and this is what I have to offer, and this is my gift, and this is my skill, and this is what I'm going to provide to the world. So in that way, it just makes so much sense that I'm combining all my business life, my business mindset, with all the more life coaching stuff, psychology, because it's they walk hand in hand. Starting an online business or starting any business will bring up all your patterns like in a relationship. And if you don't know how to deal with that, it's easy to get stuck and feel alone and just want to give up. But if you actually have someone on your side that can help you with everything that shows throughout the journey, building your business or growing your business, then you have a life coach on one hand, and you also have a business coach on the other hand, but they work together. So that's kind of like that's kind of like the unique approach in what I'm working on in the program, because I've been on so many courses and programs myself, and I paid money for mentors, coaches, all these things, and it truly helps. It's worth spending money on. But now I can just see that this would kind of like just be the next thing, that it works so well together, and that's why I'm building this program to help anyone find and live their purpose and making online business out of it.
And it'll be great. I'm really, really excited to kind of see what you do with this. I think what the thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs realize later, and me, one of them, we're really good at the thing that we started a business in, right? Most of us are experts in one field or another, and we just start a business. We say, great, I'm going to start this business because I'm really great at this. But what we don't realize is that, holy crap, entrepreneurship is its own beast. Learning how to run and operate a business is its own beast. It's completely different than the skill set that you had when you went into it. And so, I'll be the first to say, I'm learning every single day how to be a better entrepreneur. And I have a long way to go. I'm an expert in business development because that's been my world. I can tell anybody how to do business development. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, I'm learning just as much in every single one of these interviews as probably most of my listeners are, because I've only been, an independent entrepreneur for 3.5 years. And in the grand scheme of entrepreneurship, that's pretty young, right? So there's so much learning that I still have to do, and so much better. I can become so much better at entrepreneurship than I am today. And we really do need that support. And you can be really great at what you start a business in, but being great at running a business is a completely different skill set, and we have to learn it.
No, but I think you should also just really acknowledge your mindset here, that you're just like, I need to learn. I want to learn more. That's a really good mindset you have right there, because then you're just open to and seeing yourself that in a way that, life is just all about learning and learning the next steps. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs are really more patterns, so to speak, conditioned to, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm the best at what I'm doing. But the next thing would then be to, work with a coach or mentor or whatever they need to build those skills, or if they're struggling with something, especially emotionally, patterns that show up, it's just a fast track to work with someone. And I also learned I learned it the hard way myself. I ended up spending quite a lot of money on a sales mentor, and I thought, why would I spend this amount of money on a sales coach? Why would I do that? But then after I did that, and I was kind of anxious, investing all this money. But then looking back now, it's just that was exactly what I needed for stepping up and building skills that I needed for the rest of my life. And the investment has just been incredible. So it's just all about being willing to invest in yourself and what you need in life. So, but support, I think for entrepreneurs, support is just a big thing, because it can be quite a lonely journey if you don't have someone in your corner to help you with the next steps.
Yeah. And that's where a coach can really come in because, especially in entrepreneurship and business, they better understand the challenges that you're facing. They better understand your journey. It's not exactly like a psychologist who understands, your mind and family dynamics and personal dynamics, which are equally important.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have somebody who can actually understand business challenge and what entrepreneurship challenge is really like. Because you're right, it can be incredibly lonely. Most of your friends, if they're not entrepreneurs, they can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair to put it on your wife or your husband.
Or the cat. No, that's true. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the uniqueness of that's what I like. I love the business side, and I'm very practical, and I really spend a lot of time on what is the newest tech and how can entrepreneurs make everything way more automated and very simple for less cost. But then on the other side, I'm very passionate about helping people finding their purpose and meaning in life and really dialing that in as well. So I love combining those two worlds because they really fit well together when they're dialed in.
Totally. And, just to throw it out there, I actually had a coaching session yesterday for audio engineering, which is one that I never thought, at this point, this is episode 150. We're recording in April. We're actually at episode 123 in the release schedule. But I've struggled with audio engineering the whole way along. And I didn't even put two and two together that I could just hire somebody to help give me some tips to get me on the right path. And my gosh, I wish I would have done it sooner. And I think most people, when they get coaching, that's what they realize. I wish I would have done this sooner. But I think the important thing is just that you've taken the step. You've taken the step to improve yourself, and you've recognized that there's somebody out there who can teach you. And mark my words, for almost anything you want to learn, whether it be audio engineering, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, there's somebody out there that can help you.
I totally agree, and especially in this this cyber space we're living in, there are coaches for anything, or even just YouTube is amazing. It's just an amazing platform to learn more. But it really comes down to that willingness, and also willing to invest in yourself. But it's just so important to invest in your inner world first of all, instead of the outer world, because you can spend $300,000 on a Ferrari, or you can spend $300,000 on feeling better, being better connected with people, having more meaning in life, having more stillness in life. What would you prefer?
Yeah. And it's with that Ferrari, what are you chasing anyway, if it's not meaning and peace and stillness?
Yeah. And that's really, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with Ferraris. You can have 20 Ferraris, 30 Ferraris. It's only ourselves that, it's our own mindset that really determines what we're doing, because, you can be completely grounded and living in the most meaningful space inside and still having 20 Ferraris. So it's not black and white like that, but it's just really important to realize, why am I actually doing this, and what I am truly longing for in my life, because that's a game changer. And I think when we are on a deathbed 5 minutes before we die, that's the time when we realize either that I lived my life completely, or, oh my God, I spent 50 years just doing business for nonsense.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I don't want to end up there. I really don't. Really don't.
I don't think you're going to end up there. You're too open and too curious, Kelly.
Amazing, dude. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you as a person. I really do. And I'm really thankful that we connected, a year ago. And thank you for supporting everything that I've done here. Episode 20 was a long time ago. At that time, we were new. God knows what this show could have done. And yet you still agreed to come on and chat entrepreneurship and share your journey with us. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking in my corner and supporting us and what we're doing here at the Business Development Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. I love your energy. I love you have an amazing personality, and you're definitely doing something amazing here. And it's just all about having this podcast when you're just inspiring so many people, especially entrepreneurs. They really need some honest answers in this world. And I think that's what you're truly living here. So I really appreciate you, and I'm always going to support you. You can always reach out if anything.
Likewise, my friend. If people are hearing this right now and they're like, I need Lasse, I need this coaching, I need this support, how might they book coaching with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically go to you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Lasse Joergensen, or go to my website, lassejoergensen.com.
Perfect. And if people, listen to the video segment and they're like, you know what, I think I need some video produced, and you're the right guy. How do they go about getting a hold of you for video production?
They go to allinproductions.ca.
This has been episode 150 of the Business Development Podcast. I just want to take a minute here and thank all of our long-term listeners. 150, we could not have made it this far without your support. And I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the Business Development Podcast, for telling your friends, your family, and I hope that I can continue to do this for hundreds and hundreds more episodes. Until next time, you've been listening to the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Hey, rock stars, get ready to elevate your cleaning and restoration game with HyperVac Technologies. Originating as a humble family-run air duct cleaning service in the 1980s, this Canadian company has transformed into a global powerhouse in duct cleaning equipment. Their lineup features game changers like the Revolution 360 vacuum and the innovative Cobra View camera system, all aimed at boosting your efficiency. But here's the exciting news. HyperVac Technologies is now geared up like never before. They keep stock on all major products, including the highly sought-after Revolution portable vacuums and the H2 trucks and trailers, ensuring immediate worldwide shipping. And when they say immediate, they mean it, offering overnight freight to both the USA and Canada. What's more, everything they offer is proudly built in North America, ensuring top-notch quality. And it doesn't stop there. HyperVac Technologies is committed to improving indoor air quality because they understand that your ducts are your lungs. Their expertise extends globally with worldwide shipping available as a steadfast promise. With over 4 decades of industry excellence under their belt, HyperVac Technologies stands as your ultimate partner for reaching new heights in the cleaning and restoration business. So why wait? Head on over to their website today at www.hypervac.com and experience the difference for yourself.